This is Abe Friedtanzer from ShockYa, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with Noah Weisberg about his role in the new series Super Pumped, The Battle for Uber. How are you doing today, Noah?
Great. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, of course. I'm excited to get to talk to you about this and about some of your other roles later on in the conversation.
Awesome.
So, how did you find out and come to this show?
Well, so I was in Chicago visiting my family, and I got this audition, and I was like, I don't know if I can even do it. And my brother, who's a lawyer, is not in showbiz, was like, "We'll do it. I'll be your reader. Come on." So with like half a stairwell and my nephew kind of crying in the background, whatever, we started the audition, and then my brother couldn't. He's my best friend, right? So he couldn't stop laughing. I mean, we might have done literally 30 takes. And he just kept laughing as he was trying to read Joseph Gordon-Levitt's lines. And we finally got a take that kind of like we didn't break, and we sent that in. And then maybe like a couple days later found out I got it. So I feel like I should always fly home and do some sort of terrible audition with my brother to book jobs.
Well, I think there definitely is a lot of humor in the show, even though it's really a very disturbing story if you think about it. I imagine that life on set filming this is a lot of fun.
It is. I actually I like barely post on Instagram, but I just posted something that felt very sincere, which is every time we finish a show, even if it's like a Broadway musical or a TV show, you're always like, we're gonna remain friends. I know we're all going our own ways, but and you really sincerely mean it because you fall in love with this little family you've created. And then so often it just doesn't happen because everyone goes to all different parts of the world to do their next jobs. And it's actually happening with this group. So that not only means that like these people are awesome and we had the most fun, even though it was a pretty serious topic and kind of disturbing at times, but it was lighthearted, it was fun. And that I feel like trickles down from the top, from our show creators, our producers who, I mean, we were all focused, but it was a fun atmosphere. Kyle Chandler, every time there was a minute, like a little 10-minute break, he'd be like, "Who's going to Crafty?" And all, everyone, extras, everyone was going with him. It was a great atmosphere.
That's fun to know, especially because I think Kyle's role on this show is one of the more serious ones where he's still very into it, but he also, you don't want to make him upset. Whereas Travis, he's gonna go crazy and do what he's gonna do. But I feel like Kyle's character, he's gonna disapprove of you, and that's almost worse, right?
Because first of all, he's so handsome. So you just look at him, you're like, I'm not as cool as you are. And so if he gives you a disapproving look, it's game over for you.
And I'm sure that Joseph is also much nicer than he seems in this character role.
I'm going to tell you this. I now call him Joe. He's very nice. He is both very nice and very focused. He's a great team leader because, that number one on the call sheet, again, whether it's a play or a TV show, always sort of sets the tone. And he was always so prepared and so driven and so professional, yet, moments of levity when there was a chance to do that. And at the same time, he had like 9,000 lines. If you watch the show, there's not a scene he's not in. So just as an actor and a fan of other actors, it was great to watch him do what he does.
Yeah. Is there anyone else in the cast that you want to particularly name as either being excited to work with them ahead of time or really having a very positive experience during the?
No. Yeah, no, actually, yes. So I'm obsessed. Well, gosh, this is one of those casts and that there's like everybody on the show you admire. And I'm not just saying that because there are people that are like Bobak, who's just sort of starting to take off, who you admire and you watch him take on this huge lead role. And, but Jessica Hecht, who sat next to me in the makeup trailer one day, and I should have said something. A million years ago, I randomly got tickets to what I didn't know was the opening of a Broadway show. I thought it was just like a bulletin board at school that said, "Oh, some free tickets." And it was Jessica Hecht opening in a play called The Last Night at Ballyhoo. And it's one of my favorite performances I've ever seen anyone do on Broadway. So I'm obsessed with her, and apparently she's the nicest person. I just don't know that firsthand because I was too shy to speak to her. but honestly, everyone is so nice and warm. And there, it didn't feel like, oh, the leads are over here and the recurring guys are over here and the background, except for COVID protocol, which they took very seriously. It was like it was a family.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a different family, which is the on-screen family. Is Quentin a real person, or is he an amalgam of other people?
Yeah, he's not a real. There's not one guy that's him. I think it's sort of a compilation of a few people. But I'm imagining there was at least one guy like me that sort of headed that team. That was like, hey, we need to do something super illegal to sort of, forward the profits of our company. And there was probably one dude that was like, I know how to do that. I'll get my team going. Which was also interesting too, because in the trailer you had the picture, like in the hair trailer or the makeup trailer, as a guide, you had the real person's picture and then the actor's picture. So for the few of us that were sort of made up people, there was no one we had to look like, which was good because it gave you a freedom, and also a little less helpful because you didn't have sort of something to mold your performance on. But the directors were also really, they worked with you. It wasn't like, do this, say this, move there, sit down. You had the power to be able to go, what if I start at the desk and then come over? So that was collaborative and that was fun.
How much of this did you know beforehand, and what kind of research did you have to do?
I mean, I didn't, well, I think like a lot of people, I didn't know any of it. Really, I kind of knew there was some drama, and I knew that I felt guilty because I use Uber and yet there's negative stuff. I remember, oh, maybe I should switch to Lyft for a while because that was maybe treated the drivers better. But that, I think also the show brings this into question of like, we all use these things, and we all, not all of us, but a lot of us, we order from Amazon 9 times a day. And yet how are workers being treated? So what is the cost for this sort of progress? And are we guilty by paying that, what is it now, $130 a month for Amazon? And Travis says it, once we get someone to ride in our cars, we can charge them whatever we want. And for a lot of us, it's kind of true. It just starts to become a part of life. So, reading the book and just discussing amongst the cast and the directors who also brought in research, it was helpful. It was scary. It made you feel a little guilty, but all of it sort of helped you with the performance.
And I do think that your character is someone who, when he first appears, he doesn't look great, in that the first thing is like, here's a way that we can get around legal stuff and just be even more evil. Was that something that was sort of fun to play?
Yeah, I think, yes. And I think it's one of those things that, at least I'm sort of an optimist. So I'm hoping that these companies, Enron, Uber, whatever it is, starts with beautiful ideals in mind. I want to build this company. I want to employ people. I want to make the world better and easier. And then you just get carried away and the ego grows and the responsibility to shareholders and all that grows, that you lose yourself. That's my hope. I don't know. Maybe these people start off evil. But Joe, Sith Gordon-Levitt, I think does such a great job of bringing humanity to this guy. And it's somewhere in one of the trailers or episode 1, I kind of forget which episode, where he says, like, I'm Travis Kalanick, and I, despite what you may have heard, I'm not a monster. So I think all of us approached it that way. It's like, I'm just doing my job. And the cool thing about the writing for my character is it's sort of seen in a flashback later in the episode, but I'm there getting interviewed and can't believe that I'm getting this job. Just like my friend Alex, who plays Matt, the kid who's asked, are you an a-hole, in the beginning. And so my character is one of those people that just, that gets carried away. But also I feel like a lot of these guys are like tech nerds. And for the first time, they're making money, they're getting attention, there's dating opportunities, all this stuff, and you just get carried away. So, or maybe they're evil people, but I try not to think so.
How knowledgeable were you about just the tech industry at all before this show?
Not much, really. I was always fascinated by it. Like, I'm always the guy to get the iPhone on the day it comes out or whatever it is, but I kind of enjoy it, but don't probably know much about it. but again, it's one of those things that I always feel guilty. Like I know that this thing is made under bad conditions, and yet everyone has one. So I don't know how to resolve that exactly, but I didn't know much, but I always had a little guilt attached to my enjoyment of tech.
That's fair. Well, I guess the question is, are you still using Uber after making this show?
Yes, I just used it the other day. Yeah, it's again, it's one of those things where like Uber, Amazon, like my life is so much, it's better. Um, yeah, yeah, I do.
Fair. And I think this is one of a number of shows right now that's dramatizing real life events that were really in the news, but a lot of us didn't necessarily know what was going on. We have like Inventing Anna, The Dropout, all these great series. Is that the kind of thing you like to watch in your own life?
I do. I sort of go between loving like Anna Delvey and terrible accent, and those kind of dramas, and also just needing a break from it and watching like How I Met Your Father or HGTV, because everything on TV is so dark, it seems. And that is why I love our show, because like you said in the beginning, it has a good mix. It is like fast paced energy and drama, and you can't believe the laws and they're breaking and the crap they're doing, but there's always a little wink and a little humor. And so I find our show to be a mix. And so I watched it on Sunday, and I was like, I'm biased because they're all my friends now, but I genuinely think it was like, I really like this show. I would watch this show. So
Awesome. And I know that it's an anthology series where season 2 is supposed to be about Facebook. Is this like a Ryan Murphy kind of thing where the same cast is going to be in every season playing different characters?
I hope so. We don't know, but I don't think there's one person on our set that wouldn't be delighted to come back in another role. Again, because they're just nice. They're nice people who put this together. A lot of us have that story where like Brian, one of the two show creators, on day one came up to us, even though we're like, we were just so excited to be there. He was like, your audition tape was so good. And this is to me, to my friend Joel, and just, they're just kind people. So yeah, we'll see. If not, I'll be watching for sure.
That's great. And I do want to talk about another one of your roles. I will admit, before I knew your name, when I saw you on Super Pumped, I'm like, oh, that's Danny Michael Davis. Yeah. And so I'm sure Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist was an extraordinary experience.
It was one of those heartbreaking things where it was really special. And as much play and sort of back and forth as we get to do on our show, or this current show, which I really appreciate, there was even more flexibility because it was just a big comedy with heart. So there was more room for improv, and we weren't dealing with specific facts that we had to get across. So the show creator of that, Austin, and Jane and Skylar, those, all of them, but those leads, again, I sound like I'm just saying this to be like sweet or something, genuinely a family, and also made in the heart and the heat of the pandemic. So we would go to Canada and quarantine for 2 weeks in basically like a little apartment they would get us, all with the idea that in 14 days we're going to get to go out of that little room and do the thing we love most. So I really, really miss that show, and I'm so proud of being a part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think the Starships Number is one of my favorites. I know you were a part of that. I'm sure that was a lot of fun to film as well.
It was so good. Mandy, our choreographer and one of our head producers, again, is so kind. Like, I feel like when you move to LA, you hear some horror stories and drama. I just haven't experienced it. I've been very lucky. Like, these are nice people. I mean, Mandy, I don't know if there's a warmer but also equally talented person in Los Angeles.
I got to speak with her a while ago. She was really just so charming, and just so seems like she's having fun during the interview. So you have to imagine she's enjoying herself on set too.
Yeah, and there's no ego involved. She had 2 amazing assistants or associates that there was full reign for them to do their thing. There was no like, well, I'm the, I'm the choreographer and you're my associates. It was just collaborative and awesome.
And I realized when I was asking about your tech knowledge before that Danny Michael Davis is very much like Travis in a lot of ways. He's just this like eccentric person with so many ideas. Is like, we're going to do it no matter how we have to do it. He's definitely less evil, but I think he's a little bit crazier.
Yeah, and luckily they started to develop the character a bit as season 2 went on for Danny, because, and it was definitely like, I know it was a play off of Zuckerberg and Travis and all of these kind of guys that again, their ego just gets to them. And at least with Danny, this was a great note from our first director, is like, don't be mean. Because I looked at the script, I could easily have been mean to like my personal trainer assistant that was always following me around. He's like, oh, you love this guy. I was like, oh, that's a great note. So everything's always done with joy. You just don't realize you're a really big jerk. You know, they just like, well, what do you mean? Everyone does that stuff for me. This is just how it works. So I think maybe part of that is where I also get the idea that the guys and gals in Super Pumped aren't awful people. They're just like, this is how business works. They're just too close to it to realize that, no, there could be more humanity in it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know we're talking about Zoe in the past tense. I don't want to get you in trouble in case you're not supposed to talk about anything, but my understanding was that Roku saved the show and that if the movie went well, we might see more. Do you have any knowledge of that?
I don't have any knowledge. I understand, and I don't want to misquote it, but I believe that the numbers were huge for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they're going to do more. I know that, I think everyone felt like me, that we were really bummed after season 2. I mean, like, flying back as a group at the end of season 2, we were talking with our show creator about, he was like, all right, guys, what are some new locations? Like, I feel like we've danced and sung everywhere. Maybe Danny has like a huge apartment and there's like, oh yeah, this is my trampoline room. Let's jump, whatever. Like there was no doubt there was going to be a season 3, and then something Hollywoodish happened and it just went boop. So I think people were bummed. And I think the spirit going into the movie was like, oh, I'm so happy we get to do this, but I think with a heavy heart. And by the end of that, by a couple days into the movie, making the movie, everyone was so joyous. So I don't know if there'll be another season. I had heard talk like the movies seem more doable, also because it's such a successful cast that they're all on other shows and other projects, that maybe you can get people together for like a month to make a movie. But also maybe that won't happen. I don't know, because our show creator is like also busy doing 42 other shows.
Okay, so there's some hope, but no news. That's something.
But I always have a little hope.
That's good. I like that. Are there any other projects of yours that you'd like to just mention briefly that other people should know about who like your work?
Yeah, for the 4 of you, 3 of which are my parents and my sister. I finished a movie right before the pandemic. I was on the road with a Broadway show, and I had made a short film with we cast an actress named Kimiko Glenn, who is like obviously very successful, very talented, and so we're just like trying to finalize where that's going to land so everyone can see it. But it was weird because you made it, and then we went to film festivals, but virtually, which is kind of not the fun of going to film festivals, but we won awards and people liked it and they really liked her. And I think it's a really sweet movie. So I'm excited for people to see it.
Great. Awesome. Well, good luck with that. It's really great to be able to talk to you and just hear about these characters. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of Super Pumped and your appearance in every successive season of the anthology.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thanks.